I call the member for Lalor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I rise tonight to speak once again, my first opportunity back in the chamber after the election to rise to talk about the NBN in the electorate of Lalor. And I'm inspired to do so because I got very excited last week when Measuring Australia's Digital Divide I received on email, and I thought, well, this will be a good document. I'll get in here and no doubt this will document what's happening in my electorate. I was incredibly disappointed, Mr Speaker, to find that the digital divide that's described in here might accurately describe a divide between city and the regions. It might accurately describe lots of things, but it doesn't. It doesn't describe the digital divide that is in the electorate of Lalor. Because, Mr Speaker, we are in a growth corridor. We are a growing city. The city of Wyndham has over 200,000 residents and is growing at the rate of knots. And that means it's caught in this digital divide, caught between what the NBN was designed to roll out and new stock, and the marriage between the hybrid system that this government is determined that it wants to deliver. It is caught where we have new buildings that are waiting for the NBN, some now for as long as 2 years, Mr Speaker. And it's highlighted by residents to me all the time. Once again this week, the local paper ran a story on access to the NBN or to the internet in the city of Wyndham. It's headlined, "No ports in internet storm," referencing, of course, one of our other critical issues, which is that we have people moving into our suburbs, moving into Tarneit, moving into Point Cook, moving into Wyndham Vale, moving into Manor Lakes, moving into Williams Landing, in suburbs where they're told there is access to high-speed internet, access to the NBN, only to find that there are not enough ports in those suburbs for them to even access ADSL1, Mr Speaker. ADSL1. Now, this is highly concerning for the residents who are moving into the area, and highly concerning for those who've now been waiting for a long time to get access to high-speed internet. And this is compounded, Mr Speaker. It's compounded because there is an assumption in our world that people do have this access. There is an assumption. There's an assumption by government departments. There's an assumption by Centrelink. There is an assumption by job agencies who tell people, oh, you just go online and apply for some jobs. Our assumptions about what we're rolling out do not match the residents in my community's lived experience, Mr Speaker. Do not match it at all. I would highlight Christy Downey, who messaged me today on Facebook to say, "I've been trying for over 18 months to get a broadband connection in my house with absolutely no luck or help from anyone. I have school-aged children that need access to the internet, and I'm also trying to study and need it as well. Pocket Wi-Fi is ridiculously expensive, and so is extra data on your mobile. Telstra keeps telling me to wait for the NBN, which could take years." I'll repeat that, Mr Speaker, which could take years. Terry Constandalis also commented when I shared the local newspaper story today, saying, "Just another example of where conservative rhetoric is totally at odds with the lived experience." And I bring this to the chamber's attention tonight, Mr Speaker, because it is critical that in this place we understand people's lived experience. We understand that we are creating expectations. We don't have to look far to see that. After the census disaster, where the expectation was that across this country people would be able to go online and complete their census. Mr Speaker, people in Werribee South organised to go to their children's homes in other suburbs because they don't get any internet in Werribee South. Mr Speaker, we are fast building this divide and it is not fair. And I would take a moment to think about how we got to this place where we have this divide in suburbs in our metropolitan areas. And we don't have to look far. We don't have to look far to find the Prime Minister, who was responsible for the NBN when Communications Minister, the Prime Minister who we can now look back and see doubled the costs, doubled the rollout time, has dropped us from the 30th fastest country for internet speeds to the 60th.
The honourable
Mr.
member's time
Speaker.
has expired.